building survey, land administration, engineering survey, estate agency, property management, and geospatial information management. Join the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya live stream and live chat every Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba mpenzi msikilizaji na mtazamaji mahali popote ulipo. Welcome. This is another Friday afternoon, brand new afternoon that we've gathered here. Welcome so much to have you here. So today, as usual, being the 2nd of October, we are more than willing to have you on board. We are having a brand new session where we are going to deal about branding and personal positioning. So what is this thing called personal branding? So you don't have to worry. Today we have a new guest, a guest who's going to take us through. And as you all can see here, she's going to introduce herself more so that we get to know who is she and how comes that she's in this business of personal branding. Hi, Triti, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Thank you for having me on the show.
Welcome. We are so much happy to have you here.
That's great. It's going to be a very exciting afternoon.
Okay, sure. Before we even go further, I don't want to waste much of your time. So please, you can introduce yourself and tell us what have you packaged for us this afternoon.
All right. So thanks again. And hello, everyone, wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Triti Engineer Mbuthia. I am a marketer with almost 25 years of experience in marketing. And I am also a personal development coach. You can see that today's topic is an interesting one on personal branding. And my love for marketing combined with my love for personal development has brought me into this space where today I want to share with you a few things to think about as you're talking about personal development and personal branding specifically. Yes, so what else do? I run a coaching and consulting firm called Triti Engineer Consulting. And I know many of you are thinking, just a minute, did she say Triti Engineer? So in order to, can I say, deal with the curiosity from the audience, I know many of you may use the title engineer. Mine is not a title, mine is a name. So it's my name, yeah? So I'm sure you will not forget that very easily. But without adding too much about myself, I think we can get started and get to the business of understanding more about personal branding. So Franklin, I know you are there. Maybe you can assist by putting up our first slide so that we can get to our presentation. So as Franklin is assisting, we can start thinking about this concept of personal branding. And we want to really ask ourselves, why is it even important for us to start thinking about personal branding? We hear this term quite a lot. People say, you know, in order for you to succeed, you must build a personal brand. So what exactly do we really mean when we are talking about personal branding? And today, our focus is going to be on understanding personal branding and also understanding positioning, two things that go hand in hand. Yes. As surveyors, I know we have a mixed audience here. We may have people from organizations, we may have surveyors from the different areas of specialization, and we may also have friends of the institution that have decided to join us to learn more about this topic. We will try to give you a context of all the different aspects of our discussion. So if we can move on with our slide and we go to our next slide. Franklin, if you can assist me there, thank you. All right, so this is going to be the outline of our discussion for today. And by the way, please feel free to comment, put in any questions. I'll be trying to watch out for the questions, and I hope to answer all of them. In fact, we even have a question. Even before we have started, we have somebody from Busia who is asking, is there a way to use marketing immediately after schooling when people have never experienced your services? This is a very good question, and I'm hoping we are going to be able to answer that as we move along. But keep the questions coming, and we love the interaction, so feel free to jump in at any one point, yeah? All right, so our outline for this afternoon is we want to start by understanding what is a brand. Yes, because we talk about brand and we talk about personal branding, but we want to go back to the basics to understand what is a brand. It might sound obvious, but I want to tie in something about the basics of a brand to what personal branding is going to be all about. Then we want to look at the brand me, how you as an individual are a brand. Who needs a personal brand? Is it certain people? Is it all of us? We are going to find out. Then we also want to see some myths that go around this aspect of branding, because it's sometimes misunderstood. Yeah, people say a lot of things around personal branding. So we want to know what exactly is the right thing, what exactly is a myth. And then we want to also look at some tips that we can use to help us to build this personal brand. Finally, if you're going to be with us throughout the session, and I really hope you're going to be with us, we have some reflections, something like homework. Can you imagine you've come for a webinar and you're being given homework? No, I'm joking. It's reflections that help you to think through a few things that focus on you building your personal brand. Okay, good. So Franklin, we may move to the next slide from there. And let me have a sip of water as Franklin changes the slides. Thank you. All right, so my dear colleagues, what is a brand? This is a question that is a very important question. We think of brands as products. We think of brands as services. We think of brands when we think of some key products. For example, when you think of Tusker, you think of a brand. That is a brand. When you think of Kiwi, you think of a brand. But what about those of us who are in the service industry? And I believe that those who are tuning in this afternoon can safely say that they are part of the service industry because they are providing a service for their clients. So then, do we then consider ourselves as a brand? It's a good question, don't you think? Right, so we have organizations that are brands, yes? And many of you are working in firms, in companies that you have set up in order to deliver these services that you have for your audience. So which is the brand? Is it the company? Is it you? Is it a product that you have in the company? Sometimes it gets a little bit muddled up. Sometimes it's a little bit confusing. But here we want to differentiate. We can have a product that you sell. Most of us don't actually have a product per se for this audience. We can have a service, so a service that you are providing, and you can also have an organization that is a brand. So then that would be your company, so-and-so engineering, or so-and-so associates, or whatever you want to name the brand. A lot of us tend to use our personal name, and we have our, we come up with a company and we run our business from there. Oh, lovely. We have somebody joining in from Kwale. Thank you for tuning in all the way from Kwale. I hope it's sunny there. It's at least we have seen some sun in Nairobi today. Right. So now we are looking at all those aspects of brands. Franklin, please assist me to move to the next slide. Great. We want to look at a definition there, and I hope you can see what is on the slide. It says a brand is a name, a term, a sign, a symbol. Wow, so many things. A name, a term, a sign, a symbol, a design, a combination. And what is the intention of having this brand? It is to help to identify the goods or services, and more importantly, to help you to differentiate. Now, when you have a name, a sign, a symbol, a logo, a design, all those things contribute to what we are looking at in terms of the brand. And of course, if you want to get extremely technical about it, you can say that a brand has things that you can touch, and there are also some things that are intangible. So for example, if we were to ask our colleagues in the area of finance, how do you value a brand? They would come up with a financial calculation to help us to do that. But then there are some things that you also can't touch. So for example, if you love a particular product or you love a particular organization, maybe you want to buy a phone and you only want to buy a Samsung phone. There is some love you have for that Samsung, okay, because you believe in it. So that love, we can call it brand love. Yes, there's a way that we can measure it. But here today, we are talking about a personal brand. Okay, so we want to move from thinking about products and services and organizations, and instead we want to start thinking about an individual. So Franklin, please assist me to move to the next slide. We can see we have common brands that we are very familiar with. I think these ones, they don't need much introduction. And we can also define a brand as a promise that it makes to its customers. So for example, when you pick up a bottle of Coke, you know there is a promise of refreshment. When you deal with Kenya Power, you know there is a promise that you have electricity. When you deal with M-Pesa, you know that there is a promise that there is some credible and reliable source of money transfer. All right, the next slide, please. So as we are thinking about these brands, now we really want to focus on ourselves as human beings and ask ourselves, how do we define a brand? How do we define a brand when we are talking about an individual? All right, you can see pictures of some very interesting people there. I'm sure you know them. We have Obama, we have Nelson Mandela, we have Mark Zuckerberg, we have the Pope, we have Caroline Mutoko, and our very own Wangari Maathai. Okay, all these are very, very famous people. So I have a question for you. Do you think that only famous people are brands? Because we know these people, all right? We just put up their pictures and they are very easily identified. So do we then say that it is only famous people who are brands? Let's go to the next slide to see if we can find the answer to that question. And I believe many of us remember this picture very well. Githeri man. Yes, a gentleman who was caught lining up during our last election holding Githeri in his hands, and he was there queuing, and he became a sensation overnight. All right, was he a famous person initially? No. Is he a brand? Yes. Is it that because he became famous, he's a brand? No. You see, a brand is not about somebody being famous. A brand is about standing out from the crowd. That differentiation that we were talking about is what we are really trying to bring out in our discussion. And you can see from the slide there that we have a lot of fish. And we have all these orange fish that are swimming around, probably quite happily. And then we have one blue one. I don't know whether the blue one decided that he was going to become blue by default, or whether somebody made him blue, but that is the distinction. That is the differentiation. That is the ability to stand out from the crowd. So you should never worry that, for example, if we look at this audience, you should never worry that all of you are in the same industry. Of course, you're in the same industry. There's nothing wrong with that. Are you competitors? Maybe you could be competitors. But all of you have something to offer. Yes, all of you have a way of distinguishing yourself from the next person. So you should never ever worry about the fact that you're in the same industry, that you cannot stand out. No, instead, you should be looking for a way in which you can stand out. And that, my friends, is the power of personal branding. And there's a saying that says that personal branding is what people say about you when you are not in the room. So what exactly do people say about you? Do you know what they say about you? Let's move to our next slide. In order for you to understand what people say about you, you must first understand yourself. Because how can you be listening only to what other people say and you are not taking a step back to ask yourself who you are? All right? So I want you to take a minute and reflect on that question. Who are you? Who are you? And when you're reflecting on this question, who are you? We are talking about what do you stand for? What kind of a person are you? What individual are you? What values do you have? Now you might be thinking, we invited her here to talk about personal branding, not to give us a lecture about values. But you see, there is something very fundamental here. You cannot build your personal brand if you do not know who you are and if you do not know what you stand for. Do you stand for passion? Do you stand for integrity? Do you stand for hard work? Do you stand for honesty? As a surveyor, what do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known for that surveyor who does such a shoddy job that no one wants to interact with you? Are you the surveyor who is known to be accepting envelopes under the table? What do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known for your exemplary work, your service to your profession? Yeah. So once you identify what you want to be known for, then you will be able to put those thoughts together. And then is when you can build your personal brand based on that. So for example, if you decide that you are a surveyor and you stand for integrity, then everything you do is surrounded by that value of integrity. Nobody can come and rubbish you, or nobody can come and put you down, because you have clearly articulated, you have clearly made a stand for that particular value. So that is something that is quite key for us to think about. Now, we want to understand, as we are looking at this idea of personal branding, and we obviously can tell, that it is something that is very important and very useful to us in the service sector. And as surveyors, we are in the process of trying to understand who I think I am, what do I say, and what do I do? Because there must be a correlation between what I am standing for and what I do. My behaviors and values have to correlate with what I stand for. And why is this important? Because there is a word here that we want to understand very well, and it's called perception. Okay? People have perceptions about brands, including personal brands. People have perceptions about brands. So if you think of any company, you can say, oh, if I think of Kenya Airways, this is how I see it. If I think of Safaricom, this is how I see it. Some words automatically come to your mind. That way is the same thing that happens when we are looking at perceptions of others. Yes? And perceptions are very important when you attempt to position yourself in the industry. So you have identified what you stand for. You want to position yourself. You want somebody to recognize yourself. And so the issue of perception becomes very, very important. Now, here is the thing. As far as marketing is concerned, perception is what is in the mind of the audience. All right. So right now, there's a perception you have of me. It could be, goodness, she's very boring. It could be, goodness, she's very awesome. Let me pick one that Henry has said. He says very articulate. That is, thank you, Henry, for saying that. You're tuning in all the way from Uganda. We appreciate you. We have Josephine who's tuning in all the way from Mombasa. We also appreciate you. Yes. So there's a certain perception you have of individuals. Yes. Now, I want you to think about those perceptions that are out there. You have these perceptions surrounding you, and then you have you, and there's something you want to be known for. If what you want to be known for and how people are perceiving you are different, there's a problem. Okay? And that is why we say it is so important to understand people's perception. So when you want to build a personal brand, there is how you want to be seen and how other people are currently seeing you. So there could be a flip side to this. Maybe there's something good that they are seeing that you haven't even realized for yourself. Now you really need to know that, because sometimes it's easier for other people to see good sides or strengths in you than it is for yourself to see it. All right. So as you are looking to build your personal brand, it's important to consider this aspect of perception. All right, let's move on to our next slide. And our next slide asks a very important question. I know Franklin is going to help me here. The question we are asking ourselves is, who needs a personal brand? Who needs a personal brand? Now, we have said that we have products that use branding, we have services that use branding, we have companies that use branding, we have people who need branding. But when we look at these individuals, especially our audience here, who needs a personal brand? Is it a famous person? Is it somebody who has gone through the entire certification process of becoming maybe a surveyor or a chartered surveyor? If you have that, I believe you also have that option. Yes. Or is it a student? Or is it somebody who is in the middle of their career? Or is it somebody who is running a firm that offers these services? Yes. The answer is very simple. All of us require a personal brand. And this is because we already have a personal brand. So yes, if you're a student and you've tuned in and you're thinking, this is something that other people need to do, this is what my seniors need to do, no. You need to start now. You need to start thinking about how you're going to build this brand. Yes, we all have a brand. Whether you choose to do something or not with it is the question. So we all need to be building our personal brand. Now, of course, we may have a question that kind of comes up at this point. As surveyors, should we be building the brand of the company, or should we be building our own personal brand as the expert who is known in this particular area? And I would say the answer to this question is a combination of both. You may need to build your corporate brand, but it is also good for you to build a personal brand because you are the face behind the organization. So you need to be known for your expertise. You need to be known for your values. You need to be known for what you bring to the table. All right, good. Let's move on to the next to the next slide. And our next slide has a few statistics. I hope you will be able to read them. Let me read them out for you. 92% of people trust recommendations from individuals, even if they don't know them, over their brands. 92% trust recommendations. In marketing terms, we call this word of mouth, all right? And so you know very well that when there's word of mouth happening about the services that you as surveyors have available, then I would rather listen to what somebody is telling me about a survey firm or an individual who is a surveyor, rather than just knowing about random brands, okay? And this is because there's the element of credibility and trust that comes in. The second thing, out of all business decision makers, 84% start their buying process with a referral. So imagine if another organization is looking for your services, the services that you offer as specialty surveyors, and they're looking to engage your organization, they are likely to ask for a referral. So the referral doesn't only come when you state the name of the firm. The referral comes because you say, Bwana so-and-so, Madam so-and-so is the one who is behind that firm. When you deal with her, when you deal with him, you know that you are getting value for your money as far as that service is concerned. The next thing is about consistency. Now, when we talk about consistency, we are saying that if you are building your brand, you must be consistent in the way you build it. You cannot be one thing on one day, another thing on another day, all right? There must be a level of consistency. So if you stand for integrity, if you stand for quality work, whatever you stand for, then you must be consistent, because it takes at least 5 to 7 times for someone to remember a brand. So by the time somebody remembers you, you must have a way of standing out. Remember our blue fish in the middle of the orange fish. You must consistently be consistent. Sounds funny to say that sentence, but it is true. All right. Now, this is a statistic that is related to the US, but that doesn't matter, because I am pretty sure that the same situation applies here. That in the case of recruitment, now for those of you who are looking for employment in this area, to be employed by various different firms that require your skills and your services, recruiters tend to reject candidates based on the information they find online. What does this mean? This means that if you are out there using digital platforms, using social media, today when you go for an interview, you find that you are audited on your social media or your digital footprint, whatever you have left in the digital space. And we say the internet never forgets, right? So as you're out there posting pictures of yourself at a party, or looking like you're having a lot of fun and misbehaving in the process, just know that some of these things are actually impacting your personal brand. Can you imagine if you are taking a picture of yourself drinking alcohol and driving a car, and then the following week you have an interview at an organization that sells alcohol? Do they want to hire you? Maybe not, because they're wondering, will this person be a responsible person? We promote responsible drinking and driving, but what you are portraying out there is not necessarily in line with the kind of person that they may be looking for. So, ladies and gentlemen, please watch out that what you do on these social media platforms, what you do on these digital platforms, it is there and it will be there and it continues to be there. And our recruiters are actually looking to see what you're putting out there, because what you put out there is a reflection of your personal brand. Okay, so take care that what you put out there is something that if your grandmother was to see, you wouldn't have any problem. If you feel that what you're posting, what you're sharing, what you're commenting, if your parents or your grandma was to see that and she would be very upset or very angry, don't post it. That will be the easiest and most simple test that you can use, because it's going to have an impact on your personal brand. And of course, like I said, everybody needs to be focusing on a personal brand, and we need to start now. Not later, not next year, not when I graduate, not when I get my certification. No. It's about trying to sort that out right now. Okay? Next slide, please, Franklin. I would appreciate. So as we are building our personal brand, yes, we want to also understand what problem do you solve, all right? Because we're talking about the values that you're offering. You want to be known for something, so each of us wants to be known for something different. What problem are you solving? This problem is not the technical problem that somebody has come to you for assistance with. So those of you who are doing land surveying and you have a client who wants land surveyed, that is not the problem. They've already come to you because they know that you can do the technical part of it. What is the real problem under there? The real thing is that they are looking for somebody who is credible. They are looking for somebody who is going to charge them fairly. They are looking for somebody who is going to give them the right information. Yes? So that is the underlying problem that you are trying to address. And now, as you think about building your personal brand, then you need to think about those solutions that you're able to provide for your clients and your potential clients that go over and beyond the reason that brought you there. All right? Let's go to the next slide, please. So as we are thinking about our brand, remember what we said. Your personal brand differentiates you from the others. And I teach part-time at a university here in Nairobi. And on average, I have 80 students in my class. And I look at them and I tell them, now, if you are 80 of you and all of you are going to finish and all of you are going to graduate and all of you are going to come out with a degree, how will the employer pick one person over the other? Yes, you have to start finding those ways of differentiating yourselves. Yes, and this is about how you see yourself, how others see you. But in addition to that, it's about your personal brand. So how do you want to be seen? All right. And that's what we've been trying to emphasize so much this afternoon. How do you want to be seen? Do you want to be seen as the expert? Do you want to be seen as the person who is willing to help? Do you want to be seen as somebody who goes out of his way to assist people? What exactly do you want in terms of your personal brand? And let me tell you, a personal brand is not what other people do to you. It is what you do to build that brand. So just the same way a company like Coke or a product like Coke puts in all the effort to build their brand, yes, how is it that we all know Coke? Yeah, everybody knows Coke. I'm sure even small children are able to identify Coke, right? So that's the same concept we are looking for. How do we get to a point where the people who need to know you, all right? So, for example, if you are the president of the country, then everybody in the country needs to know you. But if you are an expert in, say, property survey, then who are these people who actually need to know that you are the expert in that area? All right? You must identify your audience. Yes, so you don't, for example, Mama Boga out there might not necessarily be the person who needs to know you, but which companies need to know that you exist as an expert? Which other firms need to know? If you happen to be in employment, then who else within your circle needs to know that you are providing this kind of services? So understanding your audience also becomes very, very key. All right, let's move on. And I love a particular word that I associate a lot when it comes to this discussion around personal branding. And this word is being authentic. Being authentic. Because a lot of times I've had people say, if I work to build my brand in a certain way, then is it not that I'm trying to pretend to be something that I'm not? Okay? And here is very important for us to think about being authentic. Yes, that is to say that our actions, our words, our thoughts, our behavior must match what we are trying to portray in terms of our brand, right? If people get to see a disconnect and people are able to identify fakes very, very easily, yeah? So if people see a disconnect between how you are, what you say you are, and the actions that you actually portray, then automatically that will mean that you will not be very authentic in your branding, and people will be able to tell. Because remember, we said a brand is a promise you are making to your clients, a promise for credibility, a promise for delivery of service, a promise for simplicity, a promise for integrity. Whatever it is, that is the promise that you're making. So be authentic. It is very, very important. As I pause there, let me just take a quick check on the comments section. And we have James, who is joining us all the way from Migori. Thank you, James. We have Hashim, who has joined us from Mogotio. Thank you very much. Awesome presentation, says Ayub. Asante sana. And we have a question here from Shaban, and Shaban says, how can I separate personal branding from corporate branding? It's a very good question. Let me just note that down and I'll come back to that one. And Shaban also asks, to what extent does personal branding affect corporate branding? Aha, very interesting question there, Shaban. And you can see already that in our discussion around personal branding, what you do, what you don't do, yeah, is what is a reflection of your organization. So you cannot say that the values of your organization are about or are around integrity and putting the customer first, and then you, as the leader in the organization, are actually not even exhibiting a concern for your customer. So how would you match? How would you match your corporate brand and your personal brand? So if you're working in the organization, it's equally important for that organization to have its employees on the same page. If it is your organization, then it is important for you to drive that culture and to make sure that people are actually on the same page. Yes, so it's a very good question, and I'll come back to the other one at the end of this presentation. Great, keep the questions coming. Make sure that you participate, interact. We like the questions, and we are here to try and answer as many as we can. All right. So, and we appreciate all of you for taking the time to tune in today. All right, let's go to our next slide. And our next slide wants to focus on some myths around personal branding. One of the things I've heard is personal branding is a lot of work, it's hard work. So really, there are some things that we want to demystify, and we want to think through exactly how we can go about this. The first one, and I hope I have already debunked this myth, is that personal brand is for famous people. No, it is not just for famous people. It is for all of us. Each and every one of us has a brand. Each and every one of us needs to build that brand, okay? So it is not just for the famous people. Remember, we said earlier, whether you're a student, whether you are an expert, whether you are a very senior person in this profession, whether you are in any profession, okay? And even if you happen to be somebody who at the moment is not in employment or not in a position to earn some money, that does not mean that you leave your brand at the doorstep. No, you continue building your brand. We have heard about people who, in spite of hardships and challenges, especially right now within the pandemic situation, they are still happy, they are still cheerful, they are still waking up in the morning with a smile. That is also part of your brand. Yes, because that is what you are portraying out there. That is how you're positioning yourself, that I'm a resilient person. I am able to overcome the challenges that I am facing. So it's not just for famous people. Branding and personal branding is for all of us, okay? Which takes us to the second point. Having a personal brand is optional. Ladies and gentlemen, in this day and age, it's not optional. If you want to succeed, whether it is in your life, whether it is in your career, whether it's in business, no matter which area you happen to be in, start focusing on building your personal brand, because that is how you get known, that is how you get more business, that is how people see you in a particular light, and there's credibility that is built from there. Let's look at the third myth there, and that says social media is personal branding. Now, this is a very interesting one. It's actually a myth, and you know why? Because all of us are on social media. Well, most of us are on social media anyway. All right. So if you go to LinkedIn, you will find me there. If you go to Facebook, you'll find me there. If you go to Instagram, you'll find me there. So does that mean that that is it? That is my personal brand? No. Social media is only a tool. It's only a tool that can help you to build your personal brand. Okay? But being a tool means that you need to think about different channels that you can use to build a personal brand. For example, social media is just one. You could use a website, so you can decide to start your own website. You can do a podcast, you can do a blog, you can write articles, you can write in the newspaper, you can appear on TV, you can do Facebook Live like I'm doing today. All that is part of building your personal brand, so that people get to know you. People get to be aware that you exist. They first need to be aware that you exist before you can interact with them and get to the destination. The destination in most of our cases is either to get more business, or to look for a job, or to meet somebody, or be recognized as an expert in that field, okay? So remember, if you're on social media, that's a good thing, but you need to use it in an effective way, all right? And when we talk about effective, we are talking about content that we are putting out there on social media, not just the nice, funny things, not just pictures of ourselves having fun, not just memes that we keep forwarding from one place to another, but you need to be known for something. So use social media as a tool for personal branding. But don't imagine that just because you have an Instagram page that now you have sorted out your personal branding. No, no, no. It's a concerted effort that you require to take to go about doing that. All right. And then we have another myth that says you can't change your personal brand. And it's a myth, because you can actually influence your personal brand. Remember what we said, there is how people perceive you, but there is also how you want to be perceived. So the things that you do, the actions you take, the activities that you are involved in, like for example, you are here because many of you, if not most of you, are already members of the Institute of Surveyors of Kenya. But if you are not, then of course it would be a great idea for you to join. Why? Because you are looking to see how you can change your brand from a certain perception that people have of you to a different perception. So it is actually very, very possible to change your personal brand. Let's move on. How then do you think we can build our personal brand? So here I have some tips for you to think through, and this can actually help you to think about building your personal brand and helping you position yourself in the minds of your clients and, more importantly, your potential clients, right? Because all of us want more clients to come on board. First things first, networking. So many of us assume that networking is about going on to LinkedIn, which is of course a great platform to have and a very super place to help us to network. And we think that because we have sent a friend request to somebody, that is it. That is the beginning and the end of networking. All right. So Maureen here, Maureen Sole, says that she's very excited because it's a wonderful presentation. So I go to LinkedIn, I look for Maureen, she has praised my presentation, I'm feeling very happy. I go and click Maureen's profile and she accepts me as a contact. Okay, then what? Then what? If there's nothing that happens after that, that is not networking. That is having a connection to someone. That's it. But what effort have you taken to connect to this person at a different level? Networking is about building relationships, okay? And the digital space is great in terms of helping us to build those relationships. And before the pandemic, we were good at networking face-to-face. In fact, you would hear people saying, I'm going for a conference because I want to network. And then they go to the conference and they collect maybe 20 business cards. And then what are you supposed to do with those business cards? In fact, let me ask you, if you ever picked business cards, where are they right now? They're sitting on your desk somewhere, or you threw them in a drawer somewhere. Okay, that's not networking. That is collecting business cards, right? So you want to build your brand, you have to be known. And how do you get known? By building relationships with individuals who are relevant to you. All right. So in your profession, maybe you want to network with people with other professionals who are in the same space as you are, or you decide my audience is going to be corporates, who are interested in things to do with engineering. All right. And so I want to network with people who are in that space so that they can get to know that this is my area of specialization as a surveyor, and I want to connect with these people. So when there is an opportunity, when there's a need, when they are looking for someone, that's you're the one who comes to their mind. But if you knock on people's inboxes, emails, without necessarily creating some sort of contact, human connection, building a relationship, building trust, it's not going to open the doors that you are looking for. So here, as you are looking to build your personal brand, just know that networking is very powerful as a tool, but you have to use it correctly, because ultimately people have to remember you for something, and that something is the personal brand that you are building. Okay. We've talked about using the power of social media, right? So if you are on social media, please use it responsibly, use it to create that brand. So for example, if you are an expert in an area, go ahead and write a thought leader article around that space. If you are involved in a conference, it could be a virtual conference. So nowadays we are virtual everything. All right. So if you're in a virtual conference, then tell us what you spoke about in that conference. If there's a paper you're presenting, go ahead and do that. If there's a book you've written, talk about that. If there's a discussion you've had, if there's something that has caught your attention and you want to provoke a conversation using social media, digital platforms, yeah, then go ahead and do that, so that suddenly somebody remembers you and says, you know what, I've been on LinkedIn quite a lot these last couple of weeks because I've been trying to find my way around this area. And I keep seeing this person's name and I keep seeing that this person is providing some valuable content. I like the way this person thinks. I like the way they reason. I like the way they argue. And you build those relationships again through the power of networking. So you see, you have to combine some of these things. You can't just say you're going to do one and not the other. It's a real combination of things. And even as we are looking at communication, yeah, it's important that we communicate and we communicate well. So we could have verbal communication, right? When you meet someone or you meet someone online, or even the way you communicate with someone on WhatsApp. Yes, I have seen a lot of young people saying, hey, H-E-Y, you know, it's great. Hey, but it is saying something about your brand. It is telling me that that's how you want to approach a conversation, and yet I don't necessarily know you. If I know you and I have built a relationship with you, maybe you can go that direction. But if you are still working to build a relationship, try the little more formal approach that says something about your personal brand, the way you're putting yourself out there, yeah, and how you are having those conversations. You're looking for a job, you just get into somebody's inbox and say, I'm so and so, I want a job. That is not great personal branding. We all want jobs. I mean, who doesn't want a job, right? But that's not an effective way to use your personal brand. Build your relationships first. Tell me what's in it for me, and then we see how we can work on building a mutually beneficial relationship that then adds to your personal brand. Okay, so somebody says, if you ever want something sorted out, talk to Henry. And that way, Henry gets that as part of his personal brand, right? Build your profile as an expert, and I have said that you can do this in so many ways, whether you're putting out videos, you're doing Facebook Lives, you're doing podcasts, you're writing articles. Build your profile as an expert. You don't have to be an expert in everything. Pick one thing and be an expert in that, all right? And focus on that and know everything there is to know about that area. And that way, people will love to interact with you because you are the go-to person for this space. The last tip that I have for you is get a mentor or a coach. Now, I'm biased because I am a coach, a certified coach. And how coaches help people is that they allow you to think about where you want to go. All right. So if you're looking to build your personal brand, they work with you to understand. You want to move from point A to point B, right? How can they help you to do that? And so coaching is a process that involves a lot of asking and uncovering more information about you so that it can help you to understand yourself better, a journey of self-discovery, and it can help you to move in the process of personal branding, okay? It thinks about things to do, it's futuristic in nature, so it moves you forward. Now, on the other hand, we have mentors. Mentors usually are people who have walked on the path ahead of you, right? They have gone through the hardships. They know what they have gone through in their careers. They have tried things, they have not worked. They've tried some other things, they've not worked, or they have worked, and they are willing to share with you. And these are people who can open doors for you. All right. So if you need a referral, if you need a job somewhere, if you need a connection, you want to meet so and so and you need a connection, your mentor can actually open the door for you. So an organization like like this one, ISK, is so important because it is a rich source of people who can mentor others. And you know, now we are even talking about reverse mentoring. So it's not that you have to be a senior person mentoring a younger one. To the youth of today, you can actually do something called reverse mentoring. And that is when you help somebody who has already been in the profession for a long period of time to understand what is happening right now. Well, how is this connected to personal branding? Because if you are the young person, the part of the youth who is always willing to be out there, put yourself out there, always willing to help, always helping your seniors understand the current situation on the ground, then that is part of you building your personal brand. Yes. So you see, a brand is not always just about getting a fancy logo or saying that this is these are the colors that I'm going to wear. I'm always going to wear red because now this is going to be my brand color. No. It's about you as an individual. And that's why we started by saying, understand yourself and know who you stand for. All right? Good. So I hope these are useful tips that are going to actually help you to build your brand. So to recap, how do we go about this process of personal branding? So here is a sort of like a summary of what we have discussed. Understand your values. Yeah. Understand what you stand for and know what you are most passionate about, because you can't force some things. People will be able to pick you. Remember what we were saying about being authentic. Yeah. Bring the part that you are most passionate about, and people will be able to pick the passion from you and they'll be able to connect with that passion. Develop your personal image, right? And your personal image is how you want to be seen. So that ties in directly with the values. Your personal image as a surveyor, as the head of the organization, as a part of the organization, as an employee, doesn't matter which section or which context you're thinking about, but here you're building your image. Define your audience. Know who you want to be known to. All right? So you must know. Remember my example earlier about you deciding that if you are in a particular area of specialization, you want to deal with companies or corporates or individuals who are in that particular space. So define your audience. Don't be talking to everyone. Everyone is not your audience. Yeah. If you want to succeed in business, have a focus. And for you to focus your personal branding efforts, it's the same process. You have to focus your own personal brand towards a specific audience. Okay. Once you've identified your target audience, build your brand presence. What do we mean by presence? It means that people must know that you are there. And you can do this in marketing language. We call it online and offline. Online is when you have an opportunity to interact in the digital space, whether social media or other platforms. Offline is when you are interacting personally, face-to-face with individuals, participating in events, participating in conferences and things like that. So you also have an opportunity to make those two things work together. Don't say that digital will be the only place you will be. You still need the human connection. People still need to know who you are and what you stand for. All right. And of course, the next point is leverage on social media, but use it responsibly. Use it in a way that builds your brand, uplifts your brand, and encourages the aspect of looking at you as an expert, not as somebody who is just fluffing around in this profession, somebody who is not serious. We don't want to engage with such an individual. So you find that that's not the image you want to portray. And then finally, it's important for us to be patient, all right? Because building a brand is not a one-day activity. It's not even a one-month activity. In fact, our most famous brands have taken years and years to build themselves. So many of you know the story of Coke. And the fact that when Coke was there in its first year, it just sold very few bottles. All right, so less than 100 bottles. Today, it's millions and millions of bottles that are consumed all over the world every day. It's a household name. It takes time to build your brand. So even for you as an individual, if you're thinking, when will I ever be as famous? When will I ever be as known? Or when will I ever be recognized as much as Wangari Maathai or any of the other people that we were looking at on our previous slide, whether it is Mark Zuckerberg or President Obama, all those individuals, yeah, at one point they were not known. And just know that even if you are not known today, that does not mean that you are not a brand. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing I want you to take away, it's that whether you are known or not known, you are still a brand, okay? But what you are going to do is work on building your brand. You are working on building brand awareness. So awareness is the level of how other people get to know that you exist. You know, are they able to quickly identify you? Are they able to know you? Do they associate something with you? So maybe your brand awareness is low, but you can work on building it to a level where your brand awareness is high. You are working on that, and that is part of the activity that it takes to build a personal brand. So be patient, but be consistent. Work on it. As long as you have a well-defined plan and in your mind you are very clear on the direction you're going, and you follow some of the tips that we have been discussing, then you're well on your way to building a brand. Okay, good. So we have almost come to the end of my presentation for today. And we have some reflections. I promised you homework, right? Yes. So some reflections for you to think about. And hopefully these are questions that are going to provoke you to think about how to build your personal brand. The first one is, who am I? Remember, we said we must understand who we are. The second one is, how do others perceive me? How would you know how somebody perceives you? Well, the easiest way is to ask them. Yes, literally ask them. You can ask your friends, you can ask people you trust, you can ask your family, your siblings. How do people perceive who you are? All right? Then, what do you want your personal brand to be? What do you want to stand for? What do you want people to know about you? Be very clear on what you want to be known for. And then finally, and I can assure you that if you focus on these questions, you're going to be well on your way to making changes as far as your personal branding is concerned. The question is, what 3 things will I do differently after this presentation to build my personal brand, whether it's something that I do online in the digital space, or whether it's something that I do offline, which is outside of the digital space. So if you can identify just these 3 things and work on them, then you are on your way to moving your brand from where you are to where you want your brand to be. All right, so I hope you will have a look at the reflections and that you will have an opportunity to think through these questions, and it has provoked you to think about how you're going to make a difference in your life to enable your success, whether, like I said, whether it's in your career, whether it's in your life, whether it's in business, whatever it is, a personal brand is something that is really going to work for you. So I look forward to seeing all of you on this live stream doing something. And I would love to know what it is that you have changed. So if you, I would love to hear from you. If you reach out to me on social media, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is there. Just look for 3T Engineer Mbuthia and tell me what it is that you did that has changed after you have been part of this conversation today. Great. Let's take some more questions. Or Franklin, do you have something for us before we go to the questions?
Well, thank you so much. It was a power-packed presentation. Oh my, oh my. Those are sometimes when you feel like something is too good and you can't stop listening more. But again, we have to. I suggest that we can. There are a couple of questions that had been asked here, so perhaps we can go through them and see some of the comments that are coming. Maybe if it comes from your screen there, you can see Surveyor Makoa from Busia saying that which way can one use marketing immediately after schooling when people have never at your service? Can you answer that one?
Yes, so this was our very first question, and I believe that our presentation has addressed much of this. And this is to let you know that just because you have finished school does not mean that you cannot go out there and work on building your brand. People need to know that this is where you're at. So if you are at that point where you've just finished your education and you are getting into the profession, whether through employment or through business, the first thing I would tell you is look for a mentor. Look for a mentor that can guide you, that can open some doors for you. That is a great way to use some of the skills, because remember, we were talking about referrals. We were talking about someone who can open some doors for you. If you don't have experience in working, a mentor is the best place or the best person to assist you, because perhaps the mentor is working on a project and they need some assistance. That would be a good place for you to be there at the right time, and you can get experience as well from that interaction. Yes, so don't look at it in terms, and I know many students say, I'm just a student. No. You are not just a student. You have spent 2 years, 4 years, whatever course you are doing, you actually went ahead and you studied it. And now you want to build your knowledge, you want to build your competencies, you want to build your skills. Yeah. So stand up tall and tell us, what can you bring to the table? If you were to interact with somebody who is senior to you, what can you bring to the table so that they can also benefit from that mutual relationship that you are going to build? And then you will see doors opening. You get to meet people. You get to build your brand, because people are like, I can see this young man is putting in so much effort. They're so enthusiastic, and then the conversation starts moving from there. So I hope I have answered that question.
Thank you so much. There's Mary. Let me project it. Yes, Mary Wadia. She's asking, the perception of surveyors and the importance of their survey is very key. How can we amplify this?
That's a very good question, Mary. And I think this question is really best answered at a more of a strategic level. Of course, in many professions, you find that people don't really know what you do in a profession. I don't know if that's the case for your profession, but if it is the case, it is a perception, isn't it? And you know the importance of the work that you do, but how do you help other people to understand that? Well, the best way is constantly putting yourself out there, constantly educating people about the role that you play and the benefit that you bring. And I'll tell you, this is a problem that I have faced in the coaching profession. But what have I done? I take any and every opportunity to tell the people I interact with, what is coaching? What can it do for you? Why? Not because I'm trying to sell myself, because I genuinely want you to understand my profession. I genuinely want you to see what benefit you can get if you work with a coach. So I'm sure I know 100% that there are areas that people need to interact with surveyors, those who have your skills, your qualifications, but they may not necessarily know the different specializations. They may not necessarily know exactly the value you bring to the conversation. So organizations like the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya also play a very key role in helping the general public at large to understand what your profession does. And as you keep doing that, don't tire. Don't feel like, oh, the institute is not doing anything, so we are all doomed. No. You take the first step. You be the champion. You be the one who is out there talking about your profession and talking about what you do and the value that you add. And if someone doesn't understand, let them ask questions. The more questions they ask, the better, because you're able to explain exactly what you do. And as part of doing that, you're building your brand, because people say, wow, is that young lady, you know what? She was able to articulate exactly what this profession is all about. And that is also part of you building your own brand.
Okay, thank you. I believe now Dr. Mary is at home with that good answer. So Shaban is asking a question. Let me see. Yes, there you go. How can I separate personal branding from corporate branding?
Yes, Shaban. So we promised to come round to this. And one of the questions I'm sure many of you have is, should I focus on myself as a personal brand, or should I focus on myself as a corporate? I think I mentioned earlier that in many situations, you may choose to do both. But why are we discussing personal branding in this case? Because remember that you provide a service. You're in the service sector. You provide a service for your clients and your potential clients. So people in the service sector tend to interact with other people primarily. And when that happens, you find that you want to interact with people who are credible, who actually give you value for money, and who ensure that they are providing you with a quality service. All right. So yes, there's an aspect of separating your personal brand from the corporate brand, but there's also an integration, a point of integration. All right. So you find that who you are as a leader is a reflection of the organization where you work. All right. And you as the leader, as you're building your personal brand, also sets the scene for the culture in that organization. Of course, when we look at corporate branding, some of the principles are still the same, all right? So you would still need to know about the mission, the vision, the values of an organization, but that will come from a corporate brand. And then, you know, when you're looking at a corporate brand, you look at things like the marketing collateral, all right? So the brand identity, the brand image, the reputation of the organization. So it starts going a little deeper, yeah, in terms of the things that you need to do, but the principles still remain the same. I hope that has answered your question.
Well, thank you. There's another question here where the same viewer from Kwale, that is Shaban, yes. To what extent personal branding affect corporate branding?
All right. So I think we touched on this briefly, and we said that, you see, as a personal brand, there's something that you bring to the table, all right? And I gave the example earlier in the presentation. I said, suppose you are working for an organization that sells alcohol, yes? And in terms of what you are known for excessive consumption of alcohol, and you are known for driving under the influence of alcohol. So when you put those two together, you have a problem, all right? Because there's no correlation between the personal brand and the corporate brand. So in the same way, you find that even as surveyors, how you portray yourself, how you communicate, how you stand for something impacts the business that you run. All right, because people don't want to interact with a business because it is not a physical thing. Who are the people behind the business? That is you, Shaban. And so when you build your brand, it automatically has a ripple effect on the business. And hopefully it's a positive effect that can result in business growth.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, there's another question from, let me project that one. There's a question from Kwenyu Niji. How does one create balance, or rather balance the coexistence of personal branding and personal integrity in circumstances where things have been highly tempered with and all players play such along that they form a cartel that controls projects, their lack of integrity?
Yes, thank you for that question. I think many of us find ourselves in that kind of situation, and you are not too sure how to maneuver through a situation like that. Now, this is where the aspect of ethics comes in, your morals, your values. So I cannot tell you which side of the coin you wish to go towards, all right? But what happens is that you need to stand for something. So if you want to be part of that, yes, then that's a choice that you're making. And that is part of what will rub off onto you in terms of your brand. All right. If you choose not to engage in that, and you choose to do business in a different way, in a different sector, for a different audience, then that is what you will be known for, and that is what you will stand for, and that is what people will appreciate of you. Will you gain all the business? Maybe not. Will you go home and sleep better at night? Maybe you will. Will you make millions and billions? Maybe not. But it all depends on what do you want out of that interaction or that discussion. Okay, so some people will tell you, if it means making money at any cost, no, I will not do that. I will not put my reputation on the line. Others will tell you, oh, well, I need to make the money, so I will overlook all these things that I need to look at, and then we proceed. Okay, so I'm not here to have an ethical discussion or a moral discussion, though if you ask me personally, I would hope you would err towards the option of doing things the right way. Yeah, because I think those are the things that we need to think about as a country. But ultimately, the choice is yours. Ultimately, it's you to make the decision. Just know that whatever choice you make, it is a reflection of your personal brand.
Wow, thank you. I wish to say thank you to all these viewers who have been sharing their questions, their comments. Keep them coming. We are here till around 4. Now, before we move further, there's a Nation Adero is asking practically how long will it take to build an outstanding brand in a linear profession like surveying? So how is digital transformation revolutionizing the trajectory to aspirational goal?
Yes, thank you, Nation, for that question. It's a tough question because I don't think I'll be able to say it will take 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. I'm not able to give it a timeline. What I would say is this, yeah? It all depends on what you're going to do. It all depends on what you want to do with your brand. What do I mean? I mean, even if you are a young person who is starting out now, if you're going to put in the hard work, you're going to put in the effort, you're going to be known for something, you're going to be already projecting yourself as an expert, you have a mentor or mentors who are opening doors for you, then you find that your trajectory actually is going faster, all right, in terms of building your personal brand. And this can actually happen because I know of a student who left the university. I know of quite a few students who have left the university, but when they were at the university, they were doing things, they were involved in activities, they were already building their brands. They did not struggle when they left because they had already been noticed by some individuals who are senior in the organization. So how does or rather, they were able to do that because they were able to build their personal brand. And so you find that even now when they're out there working, they're actually able to continue the process of building the brand. So it's an ongoing process. You cannot say that you stop. Let me go back to my favorite example of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is always working on continuously reminding you that that brand exists. And in fact, do you remember that campaign where they were putting names of individuals on bottles or on labels? Why were they doing that? Because they realized that there's a whole new generation of people who are not as interactive with Coke as some of the other generations. So what am I saying here? Even when it comes to personal branding, you find that it's an ongoing process. It is not about time. It is not about age, because one small thing can destroy your personal brand. So you have to constantly put in the effort, constantly make sure that you're always bringing your A game in terms of building that brand. And then you also asked about the digital transformation, all right? What social media has done, what digital platforms have done, is given you the opportunity to do things differently. So right now we are talking about terms like the Internet of Things. What does that mean in the area of specialization that you are focusing on? How do you, as a surveyor, think about bringing in some of these things that can help make you stand out and make your farm different from the others? What about artificial intelligence? How does that come in again to assist you? Yeah, so there are so many things that are changing. We've seen a lot of 3D technology and viewing. So if somebody is supposed to view a property or see things from a different perspective, then how are you able to demonstrate that you are somebody who is moving with the times? Or are you still the person who is archaic, walking around with a notebook and a pen? And by the way, I'm not saying that the notebook and the pen are not important. I'm saying that in order to embrace this transformation that we are going through, we need to look at technology. We need to look at the digital space and make it work for us by building our brands in that space.
Well, thank you. Perhaps I can just mention a few. Job Kagumbo, thank you so much. You're saying that you're being provoked. We really do appreciate that. Maina Ben, thank you for your for saying a good presentation. Valua Irene Acheng, you're saying powerful presentation, very profound. Thank you so much. Sebastian Yumbu, powerful presentation. Thank you. So you see, the message has gone really home. Now, Nashon is saying here, let me project that one. He's saying, so branding is a lifelong process. Right, on point there.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. You will not ever stop doing it. Just keep going and embracing whatever changes that there are. Keep building the brand, make it better and better and better. And that's how you grow.
Okay, thank you. So there's Judy Adipo, she's tuned. Another one is Henry, tuned from where? From Uganda. Thank you so much. And Josephine Osodo from Mombasa, we really do appreciate your time. So we pray that next time, ensure that you come with a friend. Valuayub Naburi, thank you so much. You're saying that awesome presentation. And Hashim Majani, thank you so much. You're saying you from Mogotio. Yes, Mogotio. Yes, I know the place. And James Arus, you say this is a good presentation. Now, I think there is no any further comment that is coming. Perhaps I can take it back to you so that you can give your final word regarding to today's presentation.
All right. So once again, thank you so much for having me on this Facebook Live. I have enjoyed being with the audience. If you have any further questions, please do reach out to the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya. And if you would like to connect with me on social media, then you can find me on LinkedIn and you'll be able to connect with me. 3T Engineer Mbuthia is my name. And if you'd like to send me an email to see how we can assist you, then feel free to send me an email at mycoach@3tengineer.org. And watch out for the autocorrect. The autocorrect likes to write 30. So it's actually 3T. So mycoach@3tengineer.org. But to wind up, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that personal branding is something that is going to be so useful for you. Remember, you can use it in your personal life, you can use it in your career, you can use it in your business to grow your business. It has a wide variety of implications and a wide way in which you can execute this personal branding. Today's session, 1 hour, is not even sufficient to talk about all the different things that you can do. So you can always find out more, read more about personal branding, watch videos from YouTube. There's a lot of material that is out there. And just know that it's a deliberate effort on your part to build your brand. But don't wait any longer. Start building your brand now. Start today.
Well, thank you, thank you. In fact, there is a viewer called Nahashon. Let me project that one. He's saying, I also propose that we contextualize branding within the generational succession trends. That is generation X, Y, Alpha generation. Let's keep in touch. So, thank you, 3T. We are so much happy that you said you had some time to be with us. Now, perhaps we can just pose a challenge to our members, our viewers, whenever they have, if anybody of them is willing to be hosted in this show, of course, they can get in touch with us by writing their preferred topic of presentation to communication@isk.or.ke. So, ladies and gentlemen, up to that point, I don't see there's anything that we have left untouched, but should there be anything, please feel free to get in touch. Drop a comment there on the comment section, or else you can even do as an email on info@isk.or.ke. And we will be more than glad to ensure that you get an answer to your question. Thank you so much. I can see it's around 3:30. Should there be anything, we will ensure that you get a good answer. Thank you so much, 3T. Thank you so much, members. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, everybody who had some time. And there are more who did not get a chance due to one reason or the other. Please ensure you share this so that we can learn all together. Please remember that we can also have these sessions on our ISK YouTube channel, where you go to YouTube and just type Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, and you'll get more and much more content. Remember, let's meet at this place, same time, next Friday from 2 to around this time, with a brand new guest, a very exciting topic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Adios.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.